The Jeep WK, this Grand Cherokee, is not really something you see on the trails very often. It's not something that people really take off-roading, and I feel as though the people that do take it off-roading are people that owned it before anyway and then wanted to take it out. But I actually bought this specifically for overlanding and off-roading, and it might be kind of an unusual choice, but I figured I'd take some time to explain why I chose the WK. So I'm going to give kind of 5 things I like about it, and for each thing I'm also going to mention something I dislike. I am going to make some comparisons to other vehicles that people choose for overlanding and off-roading. That doesn't necessarily mean I dislike them or that I think that this is better than them. I'm just explaining my reasoning for going with this vehicle. So this vehicle is a 2007 Jeep Grand Cherokee, or the WK. It's in the Overland trim. I've done some light modifications to it, including a 2.5 inch Old Man Emu lift. I put some rock sliders on it, and some BF Goodrich KO2 tires. One of the things I like most about this Jeep is how good it is off-road. It's surprisingly capable. A lot of people see this and they assume it's going to be terrible. With the Overland trim, you get Quadra Drive 2, which gives you the electronic limited slip differentials, front and rear, which effectively work like lockers when one of the wheels starts to slip. Now that being said, with the independent front suspension, I don't get a lot of flex, and I do end up lifting a wheel quite often. One of the biggest problems with the lack of flex is that if I get in a situation where either the front or the rear wheel is lifted, I do end up teetering, and there's been a couple of times where I've dropped a front wheel and it can be kind of scary. Second thing I like about this Jeep is how good it handles on the road. I'm currently doing about 70 on the interstate. It's a nice smooth ride. It's not taking much effort from me. And I feel like that's pretty important when overlanding. I certainly plan on doing long distances on the road. I've taken this on couple of 4-hour road trips, and I plan on taking it to Colorado in the summer. So I definitely wanted something that I could drive long distances. My last vehicle was also a Jeep Grand Cherokee, but it was the ZJ, so it was a 97 model, and that thing was horrible to drive on the road. So I was looking for a nice blend between on and off-road performance. That being said, it could definitely be better. There's a little bit of a drone when you're driving at highway speeds. If I switch to the camera audio now, you'll probably hear it. It's particularly bad at about 55 miles per hour. Another thing that comes standard with the Overland trim is the Hemi, a 5.7 litre V8. It's kind of like a mixed blessing though. It's a lot of fun on the road, the acceleration's fantastic, and it's especially good for towing. When I got my Overland trailer behind me, I don't even know it's there. Now on the downside, the Hemi uses a lot of gas. I probably get about 12, 13 miles per gallon on the highway and 9 or 10 when off-road. And that's not a lot of good when you're looking to drive over 1,000 miles to Colorado. Fourth thing I like is all the features that this comes with. I get a lot of luxuries with the Overland trim, so I've got things like heated seats, which are really nice in the winter, satellite radio, which I can listen to when I'm far away from civilization. That brings me on to one of the big problems, and that's the reliability of the Jeep, especially with the electronics. Luckily, touch wood, I haven't had any major problems with it, but there are a couple of lights on the dash that are out. One of the dimming mirrors doesn't work. I've had to do a little bit of mechanical work to it. I had a strut that went bad, and I replaced with the lift. I had a brake caliper jam, and I'm currently on my way to have a leak looked at. I think the kind of stuff I've dealt with is normal for an off-road vehicle, especially when all I do is wheel it. It gets treated kind of rough. The final positive about this Jeep is the price. I spent a long time shopping around looking for vehicles last summer, trying to decide what would be the best overland vehicle for me. I looked at 4Runners, Xterras, Wranglers, and a bunch of other vehicles, and what I found is that the Grand Cherokee was about half the price of all of those when I was looking for similar age, similar miles. This has 127,000 miles on it when I bought it, and and I got it for under $8,000. When I was looking at the 4Runners, I was looking at least $14,000, and that was just for the base trim. It didn't come with anything like lockers, limited slip. It didn't have any of the luxuries this has. To counter that, the aftermarket support for the WK is very limited. I don't have a whole lot of options when it comes to things like bumpers, winch mounts, and everything I do have is at least twice the price of anything else that's available for things like the 4Runner and the Wranglers. So I feel like when you're getting an overlanding vehicle, everything is compromise. I'm not saying this vehicle is the best one available, but for me it was the best compromise. It's pretty good on the road, it's pretty good off the road, and the price was just where I wanted it.